I'm not gonna be shy about this. My sister sucks. She is a horrible self-centered person who thinks she is the main character. She is not only a horrible person, she is a step monster. She married this guy, who is a freaking pushover. 3 years ago. He has 2 children, 10 and 6. My sister constantly complains about them, saying things like the 6-year-old is gross because he sips too loud or has stained clothing. For the love of God. He is 6. That's what a child is supposed to do. And she is so mean to the 10-year-old girl. She acts straight out jealous of her. I've caught her taunting her, that daddy loves my sister more than her. She is horrible. I have straight up called her out, after trying to talk to her like a million times. At Christmas she was saying that I'd be nice to have the kids there, and I said, why? You hate them? This was when everything was almost over and she had been bragging to her friends that her husband had spent more on her than on daughter. A fight ensued. My parents reprimanded me, but my cousins took my side and called her out, noting every moment that they had witnessed her being horrible. Her husband obviously took her side and said that she was a wonderful stepmother and that the kids love her. To which I said that was a lie, as I had consoled them countless times after they were taunted by my sister. They left and we haven't talked since. One day I was running errands and run into my step-nephews who were with their mother. I had never met her. And honestly, she is wonderful. We decided to have some coffee. While the kids were playing, she asked me how her children behaved, etc. I said they were wonderful, and then I just spilled the beans on my sister. How awful she was. What I've heard her say to the kids, the inaction of her ex-husband. By the end she was horrified. She said the kids didn't like her. But she always chucked it up to my sister being the new woman in their father's life. She said the kids never really said anything even when she asked. I then told her I was very concerned for the children, as my sister had straight up told the 10-year-old that it would be better if she disappeared from her father's life. Their mother saw red and asked me if I'd be willing to testify. She said that this was unacceptable and she would be taking their father to court again. I said I would recount the events that I witnessed and could ask my cousins who witnessed a lot too. She was very grateful. I asked my cousins who were all willing to recount the events. Word got around to my parents and by extension my sister, and they have been calling me the biggest asshole on the planet who would betray family on a whim. I have a beautiful wife who loves to serve others. We bought a home down the street from my family. I have a sweet sister who likes to crash at our house with her friends. My wife normally is pretty easygoing until recently. My sister's friends have been leaving messes, mostly towels on the floor after using our pool. My wife got upset picking up after them every day. I have asked my sister to make sure the house is clean after they leave, and it has been better. My wife also complained that some of her perfumes / clothes personal items have gone missing. My sister said it's not her. I believe my sister. I just don't see her doing that. I told my wife and we agreed to just replace them. Last week my wife made a couple of pans of cinnamon rolls from scratch. One pan was for us, the second pan was for a coworker's family who is experiencing a tragedy. My wife went to the gym. I went to work and my sister and her friends came by. The one pan wasn't enough for her and her friends. They wanted the second pan of cinnamon rolls and my sister texted my wife asking if they could eat them. My wife said no. They ate them anyways. My wife upset went and bought new locks. When I came home my wife handed me a new key and told me that she didn't want anyone else to have a key to our house. I tried to calm her down and tell her that I would just go replace the eaten cinnamon rolls with store-bought ones. My wife decided this was her hill to die on and said no, my sister lost the privilege to come when we are not home. Replacing stolen items wasn't good enough anymore. My mom called and asked if my sister could use the pool as a back-to-school party. I was under the impression my mom would be there. I said yes, my mom was at work and our schedules clashed. The easiest solution was for me to change the locks back so they could come into the house. My mom didn't come with my sister. When my wife got home after the party, it was a mess. She sent me photos. She called me the A for changing the locks without talking to her about it. Keep in mind she did too, then told me I broke her trust. She wasn't safe in her home because she keeps getting robbed, and I refused to put an end to it. I did talk to my sister. Then my wife let me know she was staying with a friend for a while. Am I the A here? I feel like I have tried to right any wrongs that have happened between my wife and my sister. I talked to my mom again and let her know my sister isn't allowed over without me home. I asked a friend's wife who is a maid to come deep clean our home. So if / when my wife comes home it's clean. The last thing is my mom asked me to help cover my sister's cheer. She is on track for a scholarship. I told my mom I would pay half of my wife's things were returned. If not, the money was going to replace the stolen items. Also, my sister was invited to homecoming. She wanted me to buy a dress. I told her no for not following our home rules, and the money I saved for the dress is going to pay for the maid. I did replace the locks again. I also am planning a romantic dinner I will make and clean up. I heard a lot about the cinnamon rolls. Someone on here gave me the idea to make them. I am for a dessert. My sister had a bag of my wife's things. More than I thought was gone. Most items are in poor shape. The big thing is she had my wife's grandmother's ring I thought was in the safe. I had no idea it was gone. My sister said that she found it on my wife's nightstand during the party. She forgot she had it on when she left our home. The ring isn't valuable, it's just sentimental. I told my mom who the ring belonged to. My mom lost it. My sister is now grounded. My wife is coming home. I am staying at a friend's house until we can work some of this out. I already stated it, but I did put the locks back on my wife bought. My family doesn't have that key. My mom called my wife last night and asked what my sister can do to fix / replace the damaged items. My wife said have her meet me every morning at 5 a.m. I decided to tag along and see what my wife had planned, trying to support her in whatever punishment she decides to do. You know, the cinnamon rolls. My wife's co-worker's 4 years old is in the final stages of cancer. My wife's plan is for my sister and her to prepare breakfast, get their other kids up and ready for the day, start laundry, basic cleanup, so her coworker and his wife can spend as much time as he can with the sick child before work. My sister was silent the whole time coming back home. I can tell it really hit her that her life isn't as hard, even being grounded. My girlfriend and I have been together for 6 years. I know she's been wanting to get married and wanting for me to propose for a really long time. I've always put it off because I never felt I was at the right spot for it, and I wanted to wait for the right time. Nevertheless, I know she's been waiting for it patiently for a long time, and if it was up to her, we would have gotten married years ago before I was even ready. Anyway, I figured since she's waited so long, I wanted to make it as perfect for her as possible. I chose the weekend of our 6th anniversary of our first date to propose to her. I was planning to have her come over to our house, I would have my mom and sister vacate for the night, and I would prepare a very nice dinner for her and would propose during that. I had written out this really long speech which I'd memorized after much practice because I wanted it to be perfect. Now my girlfriend has always wanted me to learn how to cook. I'm ashamed to say I've never properly learned how to cook, and I've never been really good at it. Since I live with my mother and sister at home, they always cook for me and they've never really needed me to cook. It's always one or the other of them, or both of them, doing cooking. At best, I'd just do washing up or chop up onions or something simple. I told them, look, I desperately need to learn how to cook a very nice meal. I told them she's always wanted me to learn how to cook, and it would be great if I could surprise her with this excellent dinner that I've made myself. She would never expect it from me. She would be thrilled. I told them I might just need some guidance. They weren't that enthusiastic first. They were like, we're really busy, we don't have time to teach a child how to cook. I told them it's really important, and to help them understand the gravity of the situation. I told them I was proposing tonight. They both went crazy and excited, like, oh my god, have you bought a ring yet? I showed them the ring, and my sister went flipping crazy, screaming, crying tears. I told them I was probably going to ask for their opinion on it anyway. And they were really enthralled and so excited and happy for me. My sister was literally crying and breathing heavily. They asked for details and everything about how I was going to propose. I recited the long speech I'd memorized. They told me it was beautiful, they love it, she'll love it. Again my sister was crying even. I told them so this is why I need to cook tonight. She's always wanted me to learn to cook, and if I make a nice meal for her, I want to make our night as magical as possible. My sister was like, no way, if you cook, you'll it up. Just let us cook for you, and say you did it. I said, no, it has to be me, it has to be me. It's really important that I do it, I don't want to deceive her. We reached a compromise and they said we can do it together. My mom supervised, my sister will take charge. And I'll basically just follow instructions and help her out. It turned out going really good, but how much I really contributed is questionable. They ended up taking way too much over me. Way more than I had planned. I had wanted to do it all myself with their guidance, but I ended up being just a helper while my sister did most of the work. I didn't want to let that spoil the night, so I just let it go. Then my girlfriend arrived at the door, and my mom and sister were getting ready to go out. When they greeted her, my mom was acting cool, polite, very poker face about it, I guess 'cause she's a mature adult. My sister on the other hand was acting like a jittery little schoolgirl, just jumping out. It was really cringy and awkward to watch. She kept telling my girlfriend how beautiful she looked tonight, how excited she was for her, how we were perfect for each other. The way she was smiling and acting too excited really gave it all away. She said, he's got something really special planned for you. I kept trying to push her out the door and telling her to shut up, but she just wouldn't, and she kept chatting to my girlfriend. I wanted to push her out, but my girlfriend told me I was being rude to her, and I should let the talk. I just sighed and knew it would end badly, but my sister kept being as unsubtle as possible. I really wish I could be a fly on the wall here tonight, you are so lucky, if only you knew. My girlfriend was then, is he going to propose? My sister didn't say yes, or no. She just gritted her teeth in a big smile like SND just started screaming and crying and hugging me, suffocating me. My mom was trying to pull my sister away, but she just started screaming, show her the ring. Show her the ring. I told her to seriously shut up, and that my mom was clearly waiting for her, but she kept shouting, show her the ring. I tried to explain to them that this really wasn't the way I had planned it. I wanted to do it when we were alone and I had a long speech planned. They both just wanted to see the ring. I said, can I at least say the speech? My sister was like, you should let him say it, it's a really beautiful speech. I started and I barely got 2 sentences in when she interrupted me and was like, actually it's 2. Long, you can say it later, just show her the ring. I wanted to wait until we were alone so I could say the speech and then show the ring, but they were both literally screaming at me to show them. I told my sister she'd already seen it, she said she wanted to see it again, and my girlfriend told me I had to show it to her now. I showed them the ring again and they both started shouting and screaming. They literally both jumped on me and pinned me to the couch like a lion grappling a dying elephant, and ripped the ring from my hand like a lion tearing meat from its prey. I told them to get off, they were suffocating me. But they were both literally hugging me to death while screaming like hyenas into my ears. It was like WWE or something, it was unreal. I tried to pull away but they were both just hugging and kissing me and screaming into my ears, clawing at me and the ring like rabid animals, squeezing and suffocating me. My mother did nothing to help. She just stood there laughing as I went down. I realized they were mainly interested in the ring, so I let them have it and crawled away to the side of the couch where I could breathe properly. I felt the evening was ruined already. I had nearly just been clawed to death. I didn't know if my clothes were ripped. My hair was completely messed up. I had both their lipsticks smudged on my face from their dual hyena attack. And my clothes were a complete mess now. It was an infuriating mess of a situation and I felt gross. I just sat quietly there for at least 2 hours while my mother, girlfriend, and sister sat together looking at the ring, talking and chatting amongst themselves and acting like I wasn't there. The entire evening was ruined. My mom and sister were meant to be going out for the night. They didn't even leave once and were there the entire time. The food that I had made was getting cold. I told them dinner was getting cold. They all said they weren't hungry and just sat there looking at the ring, obsessing over it like they are Gollum or something. Me, the boyfriend, the groom, may have as well been invisible. They were all completely ignoring me, pretending like I wasn't there. I had planned this perfect evening between my girlfriend and I where I could propose. I'd been preparing it for such a long time. It was completely hijacked by my mother and sister. My sister spoiled it and didn't even feel bad about it. Worst of all, my girlfriend didn't even seem to mind. I told her this wasn't the evening I had in mind. She didn't care. She was too excited about the fact we're finally engaged. I didn't even get a chance to say my speech. She was like, "Don't worry, you can say it tomorrow. I'm too tired now." It really hurt my feelings. I don't think she understood how sad that made me feel. My girlfriend didn't even seem to care that it wasn't even really me who proposed to her, and the way my sister was acting. You'd think like she was the one getting married. This entire evening I'd planned out for so long. I'd been entirely cut out of it. Sidelined. Reduced to a spectator. After we finally did have the dinner, I asked my girlfriend if we could spend some time together in bed before she goes back home for the night. She was like, "We can't. Your mom and sister are here. We can't just leave them." I told her they weren't even meant to be here. They were meant to have gone out tonight, and they both were like, Yeah. Go upstairs, don't worry about us." I told her she really shouldn't worry about them. We should both just go upstairs and spend some time together. She was like, "No. It would feel too weird and awkward." Well, that bad so much. I felt like the entire night was ruined. I'd barely gotten anything out of it. I didn't even spend any time with my girlfriend. My sister completely spoiled and ruined everything. The entire night was hijacked. I tried to explain to my girlfriend why everything that had happened, including her own behavior and acceptance of it, really bothered me. She didn't seem to understand and just brushed it aside. I explained to my mom, and she sort of understood and was apologetic, but tried to dump most of the blame on my sister. My sister was still in an excited, giddy mood. I asked her what was wrong with her. She said nothing. I told her she'd ruined the entire night and she acted like a 12-year-old or a clown. She got offended and denied it. She refused to see what she'd done wrong and how she'd ruined everything. I don't understand her behavior at all or why she would even act that way. I'm kind of hurt and offended by everything that's happened and the way they reacted to it. Do I have the right to feel this way? Should I just let it go and move on, or is there something I can do so that my grievances don't go unaddressed and ignored? My husband, Asian, and I, American, welcomed our firstborn 4 weeks ago. The baby is healthy, thank God, but I'm exhausted, haven't fixed my hair, barely able to shower and cannot sleep. My husband's family had been pressuring us to visit to meet the baby. I tried to hold them off as much as I could, but yesterday, I was surprised to find them standing on the porch. Turns out hubby invited them for dinner. I was embarrassed and felt like I wasn't ready for visitors, judgmental ones at that, cause the house was a mess, y'all. Anyways, my husband sat with them while I fed my son. Then later I asked my husband if we should order takeout for dinner. He said no, because his parents would find this rude and unwelcoming. He suggested that I go inside the kitchen and prepare something, anything long as it's homemade. I said fine, then went and made some mac and cheese. The reason I prepared this meal is because of how easy it is. Once I served the family, my husband's mom looked at me and was appalled. I noticed something was wrong. She asked if I really found it appropriate to serve her and the family mac and cheese. I asked why not, and she went on a rant about how disrespectful this was and that I clearly have no experience in what is right and wrong when it comes to hosting. I said, "Excuse me? Who said I signed up to host an expected visit from them?" And she took it as in I didn't want them there. Her husband said they were just there to finally see the baby that I kept them from seeing for an entire month. That's a whole month of his life they'd missed out on. We had an argument and they decided to go home. My husband said that deciding to serve his family mac and cheese was more offensive than serving them nothing at all. I told him I was too exhausted to cook their traditional feasts, that I was forced to learn from his mom. He took offense and said that I was being mean and disrespectful towards not only his family but his culture. I went inside the bedroom to stay with my son. My husband stayed on the phone with his family for an hour, then kept giving me the cold shoulder, and refused to eat what I cook in support of his family. I understand how some guests might find it offensive, especially his family, but I was just trying to make a quick homemade meal like my husband wanted.